Stepchild told me I was lucky to live with them. So I packed a bag, stopped paying the mortgage I'd been covering, and watched how Lucky felt when rent was due. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. You ever think you know someone, really know them, until the day they look you in the eye and remind you that decency isn't something everyone's born with? I used to believe that love and effort could fix a blended family. Turns out, love's just a down payment and the interest rate is resentment. I'm Marcus, 43, divorced father to a 10-year-old girl named Lily. I work in construction management, nothing fancy, but I pay my bills and mind my own business. When I met Dana 3 years ago, she was a nurse, mid-30s. Funny in that exhausted but sharp way that people get after too many double shifts. She had a daughter, Emma, who was 16 at the time. Confident, sarcastic, always on her phone, and polite enough in that bare minimum for mom's boyfriend kind of way. When we started dating, I wasn't looking to replace anyone. I just wanted companionship. Dana was sweet, grounded, and after a year together, we decided to move in. She owned a small 3-bedroom house. Technically, her name was on the deed from her divorce settlement, but the mortgage was underwater, and she was barely keeping up. So we made an arrangement. I'd cover the mortgage payment, utilities, groceries, car insurance, all the daily costs, while she handled her nursing school loans and kept us afloat with her income. She joked that I was the CFO of our household. I didn't mind. I wanted stability for both our girls, Emma, now 17, and Lily, 10. At first, it felt almost normal. Family dinners, movie nights, Emma rolling her eyes at my dad jokes, Lily following her around like a puppy desperate for an older sister's attention. But then the cracks showed, hairline at first, then deep enough to break through. It started with small digs from Emma. Lily's so needy. Why does your kid always eat my snacks? Can't you get her to stop humming all the time? At first, I laughed it off, trying not to make waves. Blended families take time, I told myself, but it got sharper. If Lily sat in the front seat of my truck, Emma would mutter loud enough for everyone to hear. Figures. You always take his kid's side. Dana would give that half-hearted mom glare and say, Emma, enough. But she never actually enforced it. And I kept telling myself it was just an adjustment, just a teenage attitude, just a phase. But you know what really builds resentment? Paying for every comfort in a home where you're treated like an intruder. One afternoon, about 8 months into living together, I came home early from a job site. The concrete pour got delayed, so I headed back around 2. The house was quiet, that specific kind of quiet that buzzes with tension. I walked into the living room and heard laughter coming from upstairs, Emma's room. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when you hear your own name, you stop moving. Emma's voice, loud and carefree, is talking to someone on speaker. Honestly, he should be grateful my mom even lets him live here. He's lucky. Without us, he'd probably be renting some sad apartment with his annoying kid. Then laughter, hers and whoever was on the other end. Lucky. That word hit me like a hammer to the chest. I stood there in my own living room, the room where I'd just paid to have the HVAC serviced last month, and felt my hands go cold. Every mortgage payment I'd made flashed through my head. The $1,700 a month I'd been covering for 9 months. The groceries Emma practically inhaled. The car insurance I'd added her to after her fender bender. The high-speed internet she lived on. The college application fees I'd quietly paid when Dana mentioned money was tight. Lucky. When Dana came home from her shift that evening, I told her what I'd heard. She was still in her scrubs, exhausted, pulling her hair out of its ponytail. She sighed, rubbed her temples, and said, Marcus, Emma didn't mean it like that. You know how teenagers exaggerate when they're talking to friends. She's just trying to sound cool. I stared at her. Dana, she said I should be grateful to live in a house I'm paying for. She called my daughter annoying. She looked away. I'll talk to her. But she didn't. Not that night. Not the next day. Not ever. That night, I sat at the kitchen table after everyone was asleep and stared at the stack of mail. Mortgage statement, utility bills, property tax notice. And for the first time I thought, what if I just stopped? What if I let them see what lucky actually looks like? But I didn't. Not yet. I wanted to give them a chance to show me some shred of respect, some acknowledgement that I wasn't just a wallet with legs. A week later, we were having dinner. Spaghetti, something simple I'd made after work. Lily was telling me about a drawing she'd made in art class, this elaborate underwater scene with jellyfish and coral. Emma interrupted, not even looking up from her phone. Why do we always have to listen to kids' stories during dinner? It's so boring. Lily's voice just stopped. Her little shoulders curled inward like she was trying to disappear. Dana gave Emma that weak mom glare, the one that means nothing, but said nothing. So I said, keeping my voice level, Emma, she's sharing something important to her. Let her finish. And Emma, with that smirk teenagers reserve for people they think they're smarter than, looked directly at me and said, "Oh, please. You're not even my dad. You don't get to tell me what to do in my own house." The silence that followed was heavier than wet concrete. I looked at Dana, waiting, praying she'd step in and say something, anything, but she just whispered, barely audible, "Emma, that's enough." Like she was asking her to pass the salt, not addressing the fact that her daughter had just told me I didn't belong in a house I was literally paying for. That's when I knew. This house wasn't mine. This family wasn't mine. And respect wasn't part of the mortgage payment. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I excused myself, tucked Lily into bed with her favorite stuffed elephant, and sat on the back porch until the sun came up, thinking about the word lucky and what it costs to be someone's convenience. The next morning, I woke up before anyone else. I made coffee in silence, then I started packing. Not everything, just enough. 2 duffel bags for me, 2 for Lily, clothes, toiletries, her favorite books, and the stuffed elephant. I loaded my truck quietly, then woke Lily up gently. "Hey, sweetheart, we're going on an adventure. Get dressed quickly, okay?" She was groggy, but excited. Kids are resilient that way. By 6:30, we were in the truck, Lily buckled in the back with her elephant, still half asleep. Before I pulled out of the driveway, I went back inside one more time. I opened my laptop at the kitchen table and logged into my bank account. Found the automatic mortgage payment I'd set up 9 months ago. $1,700, scheduled to be drafted on the 1st of every month. I clicked Cancel Recurring Payment. Just like that, next month's mortgage was Dana's problem, not mine. Then I wrote a note on the back of an envelope, left it on the counter right next to the coffee maker, where Dana would see it first thing. "You said I was lucky to live here. Emma reminded me that this isn't my house. You're right. So I'm going to let you handle it like it's yours. Lily and I are gone. This month's mortgage is paid. Good luck with next month's." I left my house key on top of the note, walked out, and drove away. The sun was just coming up, painting everything gold. Lily woke up fully about 20 minutes into the drive. "Dad, where are we going?" I looked at her in the rearview mirror. "We're going to find a place that feels like home, kiddo. Just you and me." We checked into a budget hotel that first week while I looked for an apartment. By day 3, I'd found a small 2-bedroom across town. Nothing fancy, but it had big windows, a decent kitchen, and most importantly, peace. Lily called it our quiet castle. The first night there, she drew a sign on construction paper that said, "Home, no mean people allowed," in purple crayon. I taped it to the fridge and felt something in my chest unclench for the first time in months. Meanwhile, my phone was blowing up. Dana called 6 times the first day. "Marcus, where are you? What is this? You can't just leave." I didn't answer. Then Emma texted, and the audacity was breathtaking. "Wow, so you seriously just abandoned us? Really mature. Have fun in whatever dump you're living in now." I read it, felt nothing, and deleted it. A week went by. I focused on getting Lily settled, enrolled in her new school, and establishing our routine. Then Dana called again, and this time I answered. Her voice was different, smaller. "Marcus, the mortgage is due in 3 days. I can't cover it on my own. Can you please just help us this one time? I'll talk to Emma, I promise." I took a breath. "Dana, you already talked to Emma. You just didn't say anything that mattered. I told you what she said about Lily. I told you what she said about me. And you chose to protect her feelings instead of our relationship. That's a choice you made." She started crying. "Please don't do this. We'll lose the house." I felt a pang of something, not quite guilt, but close. Then I remembered Lily's face when Emma called her annoying, when Emma told me this wasn't my house. You won't lose the house if you pay the mortgage, Dana. You're a nurse. Pick up extra shifts. Figure it out. That's what adults do. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Carol, a friend from work who'd been through a rough divorce, had told me once, the hardest part isn't leaving. It's staying gone when they try to pull you back. She was right. By week 2, the calls got frantic. Dana's tone shifted from pleading to angry. Do you know how humiliating this is? I had to call my parents for money. The electric company sent a disconnect notice. Emma's freaking out. I wanted to feel bad. Part of me did. But every time I started to waver, I'd remember the sound of Emma's laughter when she called me lucky, or Lily's shoulders curling in at the dinner table. Dana, Emma told me I didn't get to have a say in my own house because I'm not her dad. You agreed by staying silent. Actions have consequences. I'm not your consequence anymore. 3 weeks in, Emma posted on Instagram a picture of takeout pizza on paper plates with the caption, "Guess we're surviving without him." The comments were predictable. You don't need him, Queen. Independent women. He wasn't worth it anyway. I didn't comment, didn't react, just watched from a distance as reality started to set in for them. Because by week 4, Emma's posts changed. Pictures of thrift store furniture, moving day vibes, then a selfie with a Burger King uniform. First day, wish me luck. That one made me pause. Emma, who'd once told her mother that working retail was beneath her, was working fast food. Not because she wanted to, but because she had to. I found out through Dana's sister, who I'd stayed friendly with, that Dana had picked up every available overtime shift at the hospital. 16-hour days, sometimes back-to-back. Emma had been forced to get a job because Dana told her they couldn't afford her car insurance, her phone bill, or her college application fees anymore. The house was behind on the mortgage by 2 months. The bank had sent the first foreclosure warning letter. Dana showed up at my apartment on a Saturday morning about 2 months after I left. I opened the door and barely recognized her. She looked like she'd aged 5 years. Hair pulled back in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes, still wearing scrubs from a night shift. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. I let her in, but I didn't sit down. Didn't offer coffee, just stood there with my arms crossed. "I know I failed you," she started, tears already forming. I let Emma get away with too much because I was scared of losing her like I lost her dad. I thought if I just kept the peace, everything would work itself out. But I see now how much you did for us. We're drowning, Marcus. 2 months behind on the mortgage. The bank is threatening foreclosure. I'm working doubles just to keep the lights on. Emma finally understands what you were carrying. But it's too late. I looked at her. This woman I'd once imagined building a life with and felt sad more than anything else. Dana, I told you what Emma said. I begged you to address it. You called it teenage talk. You expected me to keep paying for a home where I was told I didn't belong? What did you think would happen? She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I didn't think you'd actually leave. I thought you loved us. That one stung. I did love you. But love doesn't mean letting people treat you like you're disposable. Emma needed to learn that words have weight. And you needed to learn that enabling her wasn't protecting her, it was crippling her. Dana looked around my apartment. It was small but comfortable. Lily's artwork covered the fridge. A half-finished puzzle sat on the coffee table. From down the hall came the sound of Lily humming while she colored. Dana smiled sadly. She sounds happy here. I nodded. She is. Because this home doesn't make her feel small. She doesn't walk on eggshells. She doesn't get called annoying for existing. Dana's face crumpled. I'm so sorry. For all of it. Do you think there's any chance you'd ever come back? I met her eyes and said the only truth I had left. Not to that house, Dana. That place was never home. It was a transaction. And the terms weren't fair. She stood there for another moment, then nodded and walked toward the door. Before she left, she turned back. For what it's worth, Emma wrote you a letter. I have it in my car if you want it. I hesitated. Leave it in the mailbox. I'll decide if I'm ready to read it. She did. The letter sat in my mailbox for 3 days before I opened it. It was 2 pages, handwritten, Emma's looping teenage scrawl. Marcus, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I was a spoiled, entitled brat who didn't understand what you were sacrificing for us. I called you lucky because I was jealous. Jealous that you had your life together, that Lily had a dad who showed up, that my mom loved you in a way my dad never loved her. I took it out on you and on Lily because I'm broken, and I didn't know how to fix it. I'm working now. I'm paying my own bills. I'm learning what it costs to be an adult. And I finally get it. You weren't lucky. We were. I'm sorry. I read it twice, then folded it and put it in a drawer. Forgiveness wasn't something I owed her, but acknowledgement mattered. 4 months after I left, Dana's house went into foreclosure. The for sale sign appeared in the yard, then sat there for weeks with no offers. Eventually, they moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment closer to Dana's hospital. Emma transferred to community college instead of the 4-year school she'd been planning on. Last I heard, she's still working at Burger King and taking night classes. Dana's still picking up overtime. Good. Not because I wanted them to suffer, but because sometimes the only way people learn is by carrying their own weight. It's been almost a year now since Lily and I moved into our quiet castle. Every Sunday morning I make pancakes while she draws at the kitchen table. We have movie nights where nobody interrupts her. We take walks where she hums and nobody tells her to stop. Last week she asked me, "Dad, do you think Dana and Emma are okay?" I thought about it. I think they're learning, sweetheart. Sometimes that's harder than being okay, but it's more important. She nodded, thoughtful in that way 10-year-olds can be. I like it here better. Me too, kiddo. Me too. Sometimes people don't realize who's holding everything together until the hands let go. I don't regret leaving. I regret that it took so long. But I'm grateful I finally learned that peace isn't something you buy by paying other people's bills. It's something you build by refusing to pay for disrespect. So tell me, was I wrong for walking away and letting them face the consequences of treating me like I was lucky just to be there? Should I have stayed and kept trying? Or did I do the right thing? Teaching them what luck really means? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you've ever had to walk away to protect your peace and your child, share your story. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this story hit home. It really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you more real-life stories every week. Thanks for watching.